Siren Charms by In Flames. Now, probably just by the title of this video, probably just by you seeing this on your YouTube user feed, there's probably a reaction that you had and an expectation that you have. The reaction was either, oh, he's reviewing In Flames, good, or, he's reviewing In Flames, which perpetuates the expectation of the first one being a positive review, a very hopeful review, and the other one expecting me to fly off the handle and destroy half of this room that I'm currently in. Well, I don't know if either of those things are going to happen. I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. And also, there's going to be a lot of people in here that say that I'm wrong, I'm fat, I'm dumb. Bring your friends. That's all I'm going to say. Bring your friends. Pile it on. I can take it. I once read an article about In Flames saying that many people feel that the change in sound that In Flames perpetuated and kind of took on after Reroute to Remain was due to the fact that they had a lot of exposure to the American metal scene. And they kind of heard a lot about what it was up to and what it was all about, and kind of went that way. Thanks, America, if that happens to be true. I really don't know if that's the whole thing. I think that this is more of a personal choice, more of a band choice, for them to shift up their sound a little bit after the Clayman LP and right before Reroute to Remain, but it's definitely been one that has divided fans ever since its occurrence. It's expanded their fan base phenomenally, and Siren Charms will actually aid in doing that even more so, because this is a band that is trending further and further away from any sort of traditional heavy metal and going a little bit closer toward that whole alternative metal idea that I've mentioned. However, this is one that's kind of on the other end, on the other side of the spectrum of alternative metal. Whenever I say alternative metal or progressive alternative, I talk about bands such as Coheed and Cambria, and really to a lesser extent even Lacuna Coil. However, whenever I think of In Flames, they still have some of the elements of their sound there. It's just something that's been kind of downgraded, something that's been kind of taken to a little bit of a simpler level, and as far as construction is concerned, one that's been given a makeover that certainly gears a little more toward the commercial or what is popular with the American metal scene. Almost as though they're catering to a market. Weird, right? So, Siren Charms, 11 tracks long. It's a time long, but you fuckers will have to figure that out for yourself, because I forgot my notes, because I don't write notes. There's a kind of a strange paradox that's on this album. Tracks such as Everything's Gone, tracks such as Paralyzed, and With Eyes Wide Open, they all sound really, really good. They sound like they have some real potential. It just doesn't go anywhere. It just doesn't really hit that moment where it just floors me. It doesn't hit that moment where it just absolutely takes it to that next gear, that gear that In Flames once had, where it felt complete, it felt whole. These songs feel kind of lazily written, in a way. It feels like they just add in some synths, they write an introduction that's mid-tempo, they attempted to be a little bit catchy, then they get into their vocals, the first verse. Sometimes you'll hear the music fade out a little bit in the background so you can hear the voice. Other times it will catapult alongside it. Then you'll get into your chorus, which anymore will usually be cleanly sung, but in some areas they try to do the flip-flop, the reverse, and have it not be cleanly sung, have it be growled or screamed. And then you have the second verse, then the chorus, and you might have a bridge. Seldom you'll have a guitar solo or maybe just some musical filler. And there you go. It's an In Flames song in a nutshell, at least from what it has certainly seemed over the course of the past about, decade. Long time, but especially recently. Dead Eyes was a song that immediately stood out to me. It jutted out to me. It's track 9 on this disc. The reason why it jutted it out to me, the reason why it stood out to me, was the fact that it was longer than any other song on the album. The fact of the matter that it beat Dead Nails, which is actually right before it, or excuse me, Rusted Nail, which was right before it by about half of a minute. It made me think to myself, well, there's a good potential that this is going to be the song that really has that X factor. This is the song that's really going to determine whether or not In Flames has any shred of desire to even tread backward and, explore some of those old sounds from their past. And for the most part, by and large, with this song, they kind of hint and tease at it, but don't really do it. It has a great tone to it. It has a great body to it. But it just doesn't feel like it morphs anywhere further than that. And that's the commonplace mishap, the commonplace complaint that I've had on this album, on Sounds of a Playground Fading, and by and large some of the other material that they have put out prior to that. These are all songs that feel very controlled. They're songs that feel very reserved. And by that nature, they feel kind of listless. They feel dull. They're listenable songs, don't get me wrong. They definitely are listenable. However, listening to the whole song, what's the point? There are certain songs on Siren CHARMS where I listened to it, and I thought I listened to it for a really long time. I really did. I would be, flucking around on my phone, or maybe looking at a book, either that, or doing whatever, and I would look, thinking that, oh man, this song's got to almost be over, and I still have 2.5 minutes. I'd only listened to the song for maybe 2 minutes tops, and it had felt like an eternity. That's probably a really, really bad sounding insult, but that's just how this feels. These songs don't have a lot of carryover. They don't have a lot of wow factor, and they don't have a lot of replayability. It's just execution that is there, execution that was done, but execution that does not lead to me wanting to ever pop in Siren CHARMS ever again. I feel as though on this album, at times, they try to really ramp up that old, style of maybe death metal growl or scream. They try to ramp it up to make it seem like they've taken a step back into the past, into the Wayback Machine, and have returned to that. But at this point in the time, it's a little too late. I'm not falling for it. I know it's coming. I know that any one of these songs could easily be used as a theme song for the newest WWE pay-per-view, or the newest hot guy that they wish to push for 7 months and then decide to job out for, the rest of his career. For those of you who don't understand that wrestling reference, hey, I used to do a wrestling show, so it makes sense. Many people will say what has happened to In Flames. Many people will say, oh, how the mighty have fallen. I'm not going to say that. You know why I'm not going to say that? Because I've been saying that for too damn long. Those people who say how the mighty have fallen, what happened to them, they still have not made it out of the bargaining, the questioning, the anger elements of the 5 stages of grief whenever it comes to In Flames' career. I feel as though I have made it to acceptance and have realized that this is the band that In Flames wishes to be. This is the band that In Flames desires to be, so this is the band that In Flames will be. And that's just how it is. But there are consequences to every action. One such consequence is In Flames will never win the album of the year here on this channel. In Flames will probably seldomly get a good review unless they do something and execute something that really floors me. And In Flames will constantly also have to deal with the duality of their fans, many of which are around because of the old material, many more that are around because of the new. This album, at times, felt like it was unfinishable. But I did. It was not a good experience. It was not one that I intend to repeat. It just felt dull, gray. Nothing about it felt special. 68 out of 100. 68 out of 100. I guarantee you that's going to be a better score than the next Lil Wayne album, which is coming soon, guys. Whoopee. But at this stage of the game, I know that whenever I listen and review an In Flames album, I know that my patience will be tested, and I know that it will be difficult for me to make it through. I have accepted that. I accept In Flames as the band that they are, but that does not mean that I can reward them because of my own personal endeavor and endeavor through the 5 stages of grief whenever it comes to In Flames with a good score. I still have to be honest. Right now, all you fanboys probably think I'm just being a prick. I'm being an asshole. I'm being so typical. What did you think about this disc? Remove my opinion and tell me yours in the comments below. I encourage this. Tell your friends. I'll see you later.